Paul, we're aiming for growth that's faster than a dingo up a gum tree. We're not interested in you, Paul. But think about it, Paul. You'll be making a real splash, like a surfer catching a gnarly wave at Bondi Beach. I can't just have you playing footy in our own backyard. What? Footy?
Welcome back to Life's Learning Curve. Storytelling. Our own life stories, full of humor, some cringeworthy moments, and at times, a grander purpose. Did you ever wonder just how you became the person you are today? That's us. Storytelling. Welcome our host, the tech guru, digital content creator, and educator with a black belt in storytelling, Paul Hart.
Thank you, Sebastian. A black belt, huh? I guess we'll see, won't we? Today, I want to talk a little bit about kind of an adventure I had more recently. Last fall, in the late fall of the previous year, I found myself tumbling into this unexpected whirlpool. It all kind of kicked off with a phone call from a buddy in retirement named Duke. That phone call took me on a 6-month adventure with a few criminals, many outcasts, and some terrific artists. Sebastian, here we go.
Life's Learning Curve with Paul Hart. Episode, Criminals, Outcasts, and Artists. Stand by.
Situated out in California was an old friend of mine named Duke. He was the maestro behind this. Several of these California startups he had begun many years ago that had shot like rockets to success, and Duke represents a friendship that's lasted many, many years now. 40 years probably? He's 78. He has 78 years of experience, and he was this driving force behind this company that very smartly was selling something that people wanted, selling dreams, peddling that California magic. The guy who could sell not just a product, but a whole way of life. Shiny cars, rental vacation homes, renting them, with these great views the vacation homes had. Art, philosophy, music, beach life, and books. Think about California, the traditional California from a while back. Yeah, these products glorified that sunny California lifestyle. Partners they were. Duke was a visionary. He crafted the theme of this business, the blueprint of their venture. And then there was Denbigh. Denbigh, yes, he was a stealthy Australian guy in his probably mid-30s. You know, he had the nuts and the bolts of the business. He managed inventory and turned profits. Reinvestment was Denbigh's magic wand, turning one store after several years into 7, and then adding a powerful online store to boot. The entire company was called Huckleberry Sunshine Enterprises.
That's it.
A made-up name for the episode of this podcast. Inside the stores, patrons just didn't buy basic stuff. They imbibed that California lifestyle, music, books, as I said, art. They all were brewed together into this blend of just wanting to be there. A lounge for dreamers to mingle, sharing their piece of the Golden State's vibe. It was more than commerce. It was about becoming a part of the sun-soaked fantasy. But now in his late 70s, my friend Duke had thrown in the towel just before the pandemic's curtain call a few years ago, leaving middle-aged Denbigh, the Australian guy, to carry on the torch. Now, the reins of the entire company were 100% his, with Duke being just a phone call away if he needed him. You know, that mentor for those big picture talks. But the pandemic, well, it had taken a wrecking ball to Denbigh's California dream peddling enterprise.
People stopped coming.
Although retired, what Duke, my friend, didn't know was how his partner Denbigh would take the dream that he had and he'd twist it into neglect during those turbulent years of 2021 and 2022. A horrible, horrible neglect. The once buoyant Huckleberry Sunshine Enterprises, as they like to call it, was left ignored like a ship in a rudderless mess. With the pandemic over and socialization returning, Duke ventured out for a drive last fall, retired, and discovered that his former stores, as he drove by them one by one, had been closed, boarded up for good. For Duke, it was a slap in the face. The stores had been his life's passion. Even the online store had suffered with links that no longer connected to the orders, and there were many orders that were sitting there left unplaced. Denbigh had become passive and negligent with the company. The result? An alarm bell rang for Duke. And that was where I came into things. It was late morning here in the Midwest when I got a phone call on my cell. It was my old pal, Duke.
Hello?
Paul, we need you, buddy.
Hey, hi, Duke. How's...
You know I'm retired now, right?
Yes.
But Denbigh, he needs someone out here to help him market and advertise and get the stores moving.
Okay.
We only got one store left, and it's failing as well.
Uh-huh.
The only thing is, I gotta tell you, is that Denbigh, he's Australian, and he likes to do everything himself. It's a cultural thing, I think. I may have to push him, just so he can see that advertising could upright this sinking ship. Our ship, yeah, which is sinking.
Later that day, Duke had brokered an introduction on the cell phone. Denbigh was on the line giving me his rundown.
Here's Denbigh.
G'day, Paul. Hey, let's have a chinwag about Huckleberry Sunshine, shall we?
Chinwag?
Struff. We're all about synergy. You gotta get out here.
Yeah?
Get out here now. And make sure our business strategy are as sold as a ruse pouch. Eh?
A ruse pouch?
Denbigh, that's a lot of Australian comparisons. Denbigh? Hello?
Get out here now. I'll be waiting for you, man. No time to lose, mate.
I am on my way.
That night, I packed my bags and equipment, and in order to catch the next flight out to California on the 30th of November. But that was when the script kind of took a twist. Duke called at noon the next day. Remember, Duke's my old friend, the older gentleman.
Hello?
I don't know what's going on, Paul, but
Denbigh's gone.
he just left.
Gone?
He usually just leaves to get lost in San Francisco for a few days. He calls it pressing business. Can you cancel your reservations? I'll let you know when he's back.
I did. I canceled them. Wasn't happy about it, particularly because the rent-a-car was not able to recoup my money. I remained stranded in the heartland for a few more months, while the Huckleberry Sunshine rebuild plan was suspended in uncertainty. So I waited and did other things. Nevertheless, during my downtime, I plunged headlong into groundwork and production unraveling the business's vision, with Duke over late-night phone conversations. As we sifted through the essence of Huckleberry Sunshine and mapped out a resurrection strategy, I created a template, a demo commercial that could seamlessly slip into our master blueprint. I needed something right away that I could show to Denbigh. But here's where it got dicey. Duke, now in retirement, Denbigh was steering the ship, and his conduct could sometimes be as unpredictable as an unbalanced Vegas roulette wheel. Metaphor. Fortunately, Denbigh had a heart-to-heart with Duke, expressing his burning desire to rescue the sinking ship that was the business. Okay, later, Duke slipped me a piece of advice or two regarding negotiating terms with Denbigh. Another late-night phone call, I remember Duke saying,
This guy's got money, Paul. Shipping containers floating out there in the Pacific, going back and forth to Australia. He's got a finger in half of the businesses in the small town of Huckleberry here. Don't let him pull a fast one on you. He's got money.
Now, I'm armed with this new nugget of wisdom, and the whole idea is not to overcharge him, but rather charge him a fair amount. Come February 1st, my boots at last finally hit the tarmac at San Francisco International Airport. I had a mere 6 days to peddle my wares and hammer out a deal with Denbigh. In that tight time window, I also had the weighty task of capturing enough video content to weave together 2 to 4 commercials or shorts. Our primary gaze remained fixed upon the establishment situated in the heart of the coastal town that was actually called Huckleberry, California. The modest coastal town called Huckleberry was cradled within California's Marin County by San Francisco, and it was a magnet for tourists cruising up and down the California coast. Those in the know recognized Huckleberry, California for this embodiment of probably a simpler existence. California seeming like many years ago, a slice of contemporary like Mayberry, seasoned with artists, an artistic flair, traces of the bygone hippie era as well. Accessible solely through roads that were unmarked on maps. This hidden treasure boasted this aura of this enigma reminiscent of another enigmatic California enclave, Bolinas, California, where many of the road signs have a habit of vanishing courtesy of the locals who just didn't want tourists to come and mess up their town. I kind of get that. As I entered the Huckleberry Sunshine anchor store itself in Huckleberry, California, it looked a bit run down. 2 years of neglect had turned the once mighty enterprise dim, dusty, and drab. During my 6 sun-drenched California days, Denbigh, the owner and the puppeteer behind the Huckleberry Sunshine Enterprises, offered me the promise of immediate action. It would be an immediate face-to-face business meeting. It had to be done right away. We had to lay out the nuts and the bolts of the project, the business, the cost, the expectations, where they wanted to go with things. It's all video content and deliveries and marketing and such. But I have to tell you, that elusive man, Denbigh, had this uncanny knack, almost a amazing trait for sidestepping meetings or missing them entirely. As I said before, he did in fact, in that first meeting, brag about his tremendous fluid monthly income from real estate, from investments and dividends. He had multiple high-end cars. He had business investments in Huckleberry and in San Francisco proper. He kept a lot of money on him, kind of a wad of money, of cash, and he flaunted it often. He would pull it out and the bills, and he would fan the bills in front of me.
Paul, when it comes to our corporate culture, I'm all about fostering a culture of mateship and teamwork, where everyone's pulling the same direction, like a team of Clydesdales, eh? I'd rather have a yarn over a cold one and let the ideas flow like a mighty river during the wet season.
That was a good speech, but we still never talked about details in business. So when it came to actually having that sit-down business meeting together, each day felt like a fresh vanishing act. It was as if his word had become an art form of disappearance. Who knows? That probably would have made a great theme for a commercial. I don't know.
Listen, Denbigh, we have to lay out our business plan as soon as possible. How about now? Right now. We'll sit down right now and do it. Or in a few minutes, if you can't do it right now. Oh, not now. Later? I don't got time. When? In a few minutes. Later? Not later. When? Oh, yeah, mate. Come down to the store first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll bang it out. I got all the ideas we need for this project. We'll talk after dinner tonight. Oh, yeah. We'll have our meeting tomorrow afternoon. Tonight. We'll talk at dinner. How about later? Tomorrow.
As days passed, finally Denbigh said,
"When are you leaving, Paul?"
Now, it was at this time Duke, my trusty pal, leaned in, trying to keep the peace.
I get it.
Duke had said to me. His voice was carrying the weight of experience.
Listen, I want you to know, Denbigh, he's a quirky bird, no doubt, but don't let his quirks fool you, pal. He's a bona fide genius.
Caught between friendship and the whirlwind chaos that Denbigh had brought with him, I couldn't help but wonder if, my loyalty was worth the storm. Because my loyalty really was with my friend Duke, just trying to help out. But when you're in the West Coast, you learn that you have to hang on to your allies, anyone that you have, no matter what, no matter how eccentric they might be. I thought a lot to myself about this whole thing. Denbigh seemed to be dancing on the edge of sanity. Did he have a penchant for cultural trespassing? I don't know, a dangerous flirtation with impropriety, or maybe he was itching to play that power game. That happens in advertising sometimes. Trying to impose his will like a guy with a bullhorn in the middle of a brawl. What about my contract, or, my business deal? Was he maneuvering to slip that through the cracks only to demand the advertising without paying me at all or reimbursing me? The whole thing was like trying to assemble a jigsaw puzzle in a dark room. There was a lot of talk about creating structure from him, but there was no real foundation ever being built. No, let's do this, let's do that. Here's how we do it. Here's what I pay you. Nope. I knew that I should just walk away. Absolutely. But I had chosen my fate already. Doggone it. I knew at that point, I'm in California. I loved where I was at. I liked the business. I saw the promotion for the whole thing. It was pretty easy to put together. I was now in this for the adventure. Ugh. Now, fortunately, I had a knack for peeling back the layers of deception, one Huckleberry Sunshine store at a time. Time, the relentless adversary, showed me no favors, and in the land of the California sun, I had 6 days. I used all of those 6 days to shoot what I thought might work, what I thought would work. I had to be the one that was in charge. I had to be the one that was confident. I was burning precious hours filming, staging, droning shots, and interviewing few customers. Just a few ones that came in. They wandered in, and I could catch them. And they were people that knew about the store from the past. Because I was shooting everything, which, it gets you lots of footage, but is it the right footage?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hyde. It was a great interview. Great. Very good.
My 6 days slipped through my fingers like smoke through a keyhole. Metaphor. Denbigh successfully dodged our business meetings, but by then I had shot over 60 hours of footage and testimonials. A mere 5 hours before my planned flight out of the city by the bay, bound for the heartland, that Denbigh saw fit to summon me in.
Let's have a meeting, Paul.
Time, it seemed, was his reluctant ally. Within Huckleberry Sunshine itself, Denbigh and I found ourselves seated in his office at last. And I always record all my business conversations with a small, it's not the size of a cell phone, but it's a little bit smaller, mini recorder. So I turned that on, didn't want to miss anything. And that thing hummed in the background, capturing our words having to do with marketing and the art of selling the Huckleberry Sunshine lifestyle.
Paul, we're aiming for growth that's faster than a dingo up a gum tree.
Huh?
We're not interested in you,
What?
so I will pay you half in total. What? Well, Denbigh, why did you fly me halfway across the United States? Also, half of the money, I can adjust the workload of this project and I can lessen the projects. Do you want to do that? Tell me.
Yes?
I'm just guessing, but is money tight for you right now? Is that what we're saying? Nope. I got plenty of money, Paul. I can't just have you playing footy in our own backyard. What? Footy? Look, you're gonna get half of what you're asking. And I'll tell you what, mate. In 6 months, if business increases, I'll let you buy in. Yeah, you can buy in as an owner. Sliced earnings today in exchange for a taste of ownership tomorrow. Paul, we're aiming for growth that's faster than a dingo up a gum tree. We're not interested in you, Paul. But Think about it, Paul. You'll be making a real splash, like a surfer catching a gnarly wave at Bondi Beach.
As a kid from the heartland, I wouldn't have ever waltzed down this treacherous road. But now, ensnared in this mad dance through my old pal Duke, I had the opportunity to be a part of his company. It became more than just 6 months of commercial making and commercial marketing and advertising. Too much. It was chaotic. It didn't take me long until I politely declined, nodding to my Midwestern sensibilities. But what came next was a furious and fast jumbled verbiage of pseudo-diplomacy from Denbigh, which sounded something like this.
Come on, Paul. Sum it all up. We're in this for the long haul. All of us, 6 months together. Well, that's long. As you advertise us and get us up and running again, you'll be making a real splash like a surfer. Come on, hitting a wave, Bondi Beach. I said it before, this is for you. Are you still paying me half? This is your opportunity.
What?
Today, my gibberish may sound to you like a cockatoo squawking, but rest assured, Paul, I'm fair dinkum about your comments and your commercials and your ideas. Yeah? Wait. Your work, a successful story for all of us that'll have everyone saying, good on you, mate. What? We're good to go, Paul.
Just so you know, I didn't agree or sign anything that day.
Just create the adverts and the marketing saturation. Wait. Forget the marketing. I'll do that here.
Now, besides my own efforts, Denbigh spun a tale of his California crew, of investors, his friends, businessmen, that would help him share and get out the marketing, the consortium kind of voices shouting the business's name from every mountaintop and every digital corner.
Me, Ken, Keith, Andy, and to probably a lesser extent, because he's older now, right? Duke. All spreading the word through storefronts, websites, and the digital bazaar. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, yeah.
I spent about an hour sharing ways Denbigh and his crew could market the business. I could see that he wasn't listening. Just fidgeting, looking at his feet, playing with his hands, looking across the room, checking his watch. And then he was gone. Oh yeah. There was more to that meeting, but I just wanted to share with you that particular part. I call it the old Australian shuffle. That had just taken place. Now that meeting was like being spun 20 times blindfolded and then let go to walk a straight line. Later that day, I sent Denbigh by form of email my marketing strategies for Huckleberry Sunshine. If he was going to do the marketing, I'd lay it out bullet point by bullet point, things he wanted to do and anything he extra wanted to do that was fine. Here's a footnote. When all was said and done, meaning all my commercials were made and things were put into place, there had been no marketing done on his side. No future marketing would ever take place on his end of things. After some contemplation, I recognized this for what it actually was. A strange, twisted journey, an adventure, a plunge into the depths of uncertainty and chaos. And maybe an opportunity to have some fun, for me, I guess, creative fun. It seemed like that was being offered. Back in the day after the meeting, I shook my head and I smiled to myself and I accepted the new 6-month challenge of advertising and a little bit of marketing, even at half my usual pay. But I wanted no connection. I didn't want that buy-in after 6 months, whether it was a good deal or a bad deal. I was not going to run a business in California. Now, once I was back in the Midwest, I transcribed our verbal joust from that little mini recorder onto paper, the computer. I put down the facts, the black and white of that entire meeting, lending an air of solidarity to the verbal circus. I just wanted to know what to do, follow something. As a matter of record, the transcribed piece that I copied down, I sent it back to Denbigh, and then I also sent a copy to my 78-year-old friend Duke. I was immediately surprised when I heard back, and there were two things I was surprised by. One, I was surprised when my oldest friend, Duke, called me, and he was miffed, irritated, and bitterly, he was snide with me. It was a behavior I had never experienced with him before, and I've known him for a lot of years.
Hello?
Paul, what the hell are these demands you've made up? I just had a meeting with Denbigh, and he told me that you demanded so much money that now he's flat broke.
I reminded Duke that no money had exchanged any hands yet, and no contracts were signed. Surprise number two. Then Duke remarked to me,
And somehow you got me in there doing marketing.
What?
Hell, I'm 78 years old, Paul. You can't tell me what to do. Duke, listen. You're right. These are not my words at all. These are Denbigh's words from our meeting. These are his facts. These are his words, not mine. Not my opinions either. That's not in here. This is just the transcription of his words. Look, if he doesn't have the capital, if he doesn't have the money right now to advertise, I understand. I can refer him to someone who can do this work for a more basic level price.
Duke's response had a very peculiar flavor to it, like a bitter cocktail mixed with a dash of resentment. He said,
Oh, you just wait. Oh yeah, you wait. Well, you're gonna see Denbigh cruising down Pacific Coast Highway in a new yellow Lamborghini in just a couple of months. And there you'll be, sitting there on the roadside with your gal muttering, Where did I take that wrong turn? Maybe I should have followed Denbigh. What?
something was off, no doubt about it. I mean, I'd been going along with all of Denbigh's twists and turns, but Duke's tone was setting off alarm bells. It was a wake-up call, and I knew I needed to be treading cautiously. The currency of trust and communication was in danger of being devalued. That was it. Very unfortunately, that right there was where Duke cut off the conversation, and regrettably, very regrettably, our friendship took its last breath. I tried, and I wanted to salvage it. However, whatever Denbigh had told Duke had him very riled up. It wasn't worth sacrificing the bond we had forged over the years. It had left me feeling lousy, and to this day the enigma of what truly transpired remains unsolved. Now, I have to tell you, I calmed down about 99% when my first payment began only days later. The first day of every month was, the day that I was to be paid. It was only a coin dance for my work, but each jingle was a reminder of my newfound pact with this enigmatic Denbigh. My first payment arrived on the 1st, as agreed upon, and I called to let both men know I had received payment and thank them both for being timely. An odd duet of voices echoed within Denbigh as Duke was not speaking with me. Both were singing the blues about fiscal discord.
I'm parting with my own coin, Paul. I don't like that.
Denbigh lamented a symphony of financial melancholy.
My mate's taking all my money. You are?
I raised an eyebrow. A curious thing indeed, I thought. Denbigh had bragged about his tremendous fluid monthly income from real estate and flashed money in front of my face constantly. He owned multiple cars and businesses here in San Francisco. He kept all that money in cash. Each month, he complained about having to pay me. If you're thinking, did he pay you a lot? Oh no, this was not a lot of money. This would be less than a cable TV bill. Of course, those have gone up a lot. But I'm just saying, a cable TV bill with no extra channels or packages. I told Denbigh,
Listen, Denbigh, you're not alone. Money's a fickle thing, always looking to escape the pocket it's in. especially if it's owed to somebody else.
And yet every day I thought about Duke and our friendship, and it was hard on me. I didn't want to let that go, and perhaps I should have let the whole project go. But there was something about it. An odd camaraderie began to forge as the currency of truth, making Denbigh's and my partnership more intriguing. Now, I'm pleased to report that the next 5 months glided by smoother. Yeah, I did say smoother. Smoother than a polished mirror, man. Denbigh did pay me the full amount for 5 months of work out of the 6. Payment was due in the first of every month. We rebranded the business. In addition, I cranked out 4 episodes of a podcast, and I built them around that business, a subliminal kind of sales push. And also, once a month, I dropped a fully produced 60-second commercial, and 3 times a week, like clockwork, I delivered those snappy 20-second video shorts, that are on TikTok and Facebook, etc., Instagram, tallying up to a grand total of about 82 videos during that stretch. 82 videos. As we embarked on the brand's resurrection, I felt a sense of ownership wash over me. I kind of liked it. And Denbigh, the man himself, had something to say about every commercial I cooked up. Whether he was in the States or back in Australia, he'd watch it. The man would text me, he'd email me, he'd phone me, he'd instant message me, Facebook message, whatever, with words like,
Terrific. Nice, mate. Excellent, Paul. I can't believe the quality here. Oh, I love this one. And, very good. Keep it up.
Now sure, there was maybe a couple times we had to recalibrate our content. Pause the podcast for a little while to give that website and orders from the website more of a proper spotlight. That's fine. I'm good with all of that. Matter of fact, I like rolling with the changes. Those 5 months were a wild ride for me. Creative, and I loved it. It was the best experience I'd ever had. I can say that. Best one I've ever had, conjuring and dishing out digital content, creative and fun, positive. For now, I knew all was good, but what would happen at the end of 6 months? Denbigh was unpredictable, and as it turned out, I was right to worry. Like I said earlier, Denbigh had paid me 5 months straight with no questions asked. But that 6th month, well, and it was like trying to wrestle an Australian octopus on roller skates. Metaphor. What happened? Well, it was in that 6th month that I discovered shadowy dealings, the kind that festered in hidden alleys of the business world that I didn't know anything about and I wanted no part of. But I had pulled in. I had pulled in deeper than I ever had anticipated. Hey, that's all I have for you today. So as part 1 of 2 parts ends, let me do a fast recap here. So I'm asked to fly out to California to help advertise and market and restart a neglected business. Check. My friend Duke mentors me as we develop a solid strategy to really sell Australian millionaire Denbigh. He's the owner of the business. Check. Even though Denbigh talks in jumbled Australian business gibberish, I finally accept the adventure of the project and the eccentric behaviors of Australian Denbigh. Check. Denbigh complains about having to pay me. Check. Coming up in the conclusion of this episode, Denbigh says,
I don't care how good I said your work was. It was alligator feces, garbage. You knew it.
Stood there with my mouth wide open. Up was now down and in was now out. So tune in next time for the conclusion of our episode, Criminals, Outcasts, and Artists. Next time on Life's Learning Curve, this podcast. These are stories about how we became the best us. I'm Paul Hart. Cheers. Subscribe to Life's Learning Curve at lifeslearningcurve.org and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Podchaser.
Episode 80, Season 5 of the Life's Learning Curve podcast, Criminals, Outcasts, and Artists, was put together by Sebastian T. Dog and Paul Hart. Find us just about everywhere podcasts are heard. Our website, lifeslearningcurve.org. While you're there, please subscribe. We'd love to have you aboard. This episode has imaginative voice recreations. To protect the privacy of others, some names have been changed and characters conflated. Episode 80, Season 5 of Life's Learning Curve podcast, Criminals, Outcasts, and Artists. For more lifelong stories and realer-than-real experiences, catch us next time, right here on Life's Learning Curve. We're clear.